Welcome to the Repugen Podcast, where we transform patient care. Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're going to do a deep dive today into something that I think everyone listening has probably thought about, especially if you've ever had to look for a new doctor. We're talking about online reviews. Like, have you ever wondered just how much those star ratings actually matter?
Oh, they matter a lot. You might be surprised to know that nearly 73% of patients read online reviews before they even choose a health plan provider. We actually found this out in our, patient review survey from 2024 here at Repugen. That basically means that online reviews, they're a huge factor when it comes to attracting new patients.
73%. Wow. That's a lot more than I would have thought. So it really seems like reviews are even more important than I even thought. Is this something that's just at Repugen that we're seeing, or is this a broader trend that's happening?
Oh, no, it's definitely widespread. There was another survey done by Software Advice, and they found that something like 71% of patients use online reviews as the first step when they're looking for a new doctor. And it's not even just healthcare either. Bright Local, this company that focuses on local SEO, they found that 84% of consumers think reviews are important when they're choosing any business.
Right, that makes sense. I know I check reviews for everything, restaurant, shops, even apps on my phone. So, okay, reviews are important. We've established that. But I'm kind of curious, what happens when healthcare providers don't actively manage them? What do you think?
Well, just imagine if you were trying to choose a restaurant and you were only using reviews from people who hated it. You'd probably miss out on some amazing places. And that's kind of what happens with healthcare providers who don't manage their online presence. And all those reviews, they might not even reflect how good the care is. And that can actually scare potential patients away.
That's a great point. It's not even just about getting good reviews. It's about making sure that those reviews paint an accurate picture.
Exactly. And that's exactly where managing your online reputation comes in. It's all about understanding what your patients are saying, the good and the bad, and then using that to get better. Plus, when you manage your reviews, you're building a stronger presence online and you attract more patients.
It's almost like turning those reviews into an actual conversation. Like you're listening to what patients are saying and you're responding to show them that you care. I bet this is where a platform like Repugen can really make a difference, right?
Definitely. We've seen firsthand how Repugen can help practices improve how they look online. One thing that's interesting is that our clients actually see the number of reviews they get increases, and their star ratings go up too, but the patient satisfaction stays the same.
So it's not about just making the ratings look better. It's about helping the practice show the full picture of the care that they're already giving.
Exactly. Now, if you're ready to really take control of your online reviews, you got to focus on the right platforms.
Okay, so where should practices be focusing their energy? It can feel like a lot to think about, managing reviews on the whole internet.
Well, based on our survey here at Repugen in 2024, the top review sites for healthcare providers are Google, Healthgrades, WebMD, Yelp, Facebook Vitals, and RateMDs.
Okay, let's break down those platforms a little. Google's a big one, obviously. What makes it so important for healthcare?
Well, Google's the most used and trusted review site out there. 66% of patients use it when they're choosing a healthcare provider. Think about it when you're looking for a new restaurant. You probably check Google Maps, right? The ones that show up first are the ones you're more likely to go to. It's the same with healthcare. Your Google My Business profile, it determines where you show up in the search results. Studies actually show that 25 to 27% of your local search ranking comes from your Google My Business profile.
Wow. So if you're not managing your Google My Business profile, you're potentially losing a quarter of potential patients. That's huge.
Yeah, it really is. And then there's WebMD. It's really popular for health information. It gets over 2.4 million visitors every month. People use it to research conditions, treatments, all that. So having a good presence on WebMD is super important, especially for specialists.
Right. You want to be where the patients are already looking for information. What about Facebook? I don't really think of that as a place to find a doctor.
You might be surprised. 26% of patients actually use Facebook to search for clinics near them. Facebook has almost 3 billion active users every month. People are already on there, so why not look for a doctor while they're scrolling through their feed? Plus, Facebook gives providers a way to connect with patients more personally and share helpful information.
That's a good point. What about Yelp? I know it's popular for restaurants and local businesses, but what about healthcare?
Yelp's becoming more and more important for healthcare providers, too. 10% of patients actually rely on Yelp reviews when they're looking for a new doctor. It's all about local search and reviews, and people are starting to trust Yelp for healthcare just like they trust it for everything else.
Okay, so we've talked about why online reviews are so important and what platforms to really focus on. But now let's get to the practical stuff. How do you actually get patients to leave those reviews? I feel like most people, myself included, don't usually think about leaving a review unless something went really wrong.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge for a lot of practices. Think about it when you have a great experience at a restaurant, Do you always run to leave a review? Probably not. And it's the same with healthcare. Satisfied patients, they just don't think to leave a review unless someone specifically asks them to.
So how can practices encourage more of their patients to, share their good experiences?
Well, one of the best things you can do is staff training. Your staff is interacting with patients every single day, so they're in a perfect spot to politely ask for reviews after, a good experience. It doesn't have to be a hard sell or anything, just a little nudge like, hey, we're so glad you had a great experience today. Would you mind sharing your feedback online? It really helps other patients find our practice.
That's simple, but it makes so much sense. What else can practices do to make leaving a review easier?
Just making the whole process super easy is key. You can put links to review sites on your website, have printed instructions, or even send personalized emails with links.
It's all about getting rid of any obstacle and making it seamless for the patient.
Exactly. And don't forget about just asking directly. Bright Local found that 7 out of 10 people will actually leave a review if you just ask them.
This is where a platform like Ripigen can really come in handy, right?
Absolutely. Ripigen automates the entire process. We send out these surveys after appointments, and if the patient is happy, we send them directly to the review sites. And if they aren't happy, we collect their feedback to help the practice improve.
That's a game changer for sure. It takes all the guesswork out of it and lets the staff focus on what matters, patient care. But what happens when those reviews start coming in? You can't just ignore them, right?
You're exactly right. You have to stay on top of those reviews and respond to them. It's like having your finger on the pulse of your online reputation.
That's a great way to put it. So how can practices stay on top of everything and make sure they're not missing any important feedback?
First thing you got to do is turn on those review notifications for all your platforms. That way you'll know right away when a new review comes in. You should also schedule regular check-ins at least once a week for each platform.
So it's all about being proactive and checking in often. But it's not enough to just skim them, right? What should practices be looking for when they're reading the feedback?
Yeah, you don't want to just look at the star ratings. You need to really dig into those comments and see what people are saying, both good and bad. Look for patterns and themes. Are there compliments that keep coming up or complaints? This can give you some really valuable insight into what's working and what needs to be improved.
So you're turning those reviews into information you can actually use to make the patient's experience better. Okay, let's talk about negative reviews. They can be scary, but how should practices deal with them?
Negative reviews can actually be a really good thing. How a practice responds to a negative review tells you a lot about them. It shows you how committed they are to patient satisfaction, and if they're professional, it's a chance to show potential patients that you care and are willing to fix things.
So it's not about pretending negative reviews don't exist. It's about using them as a way to grow and improve. But responding to them can be tricky. What advice do you have for practices to do it effectively?
The most important thing is to respond thoughtfully and professionally. You want to personalize your response as much as possible. Thank them for their feedback, good or bad. Acknowledge their problem. And if it makes sense, apologize. It shows you're listening and you actually care.
It's about showing that human side and empathy. What if the issue is a little more complicated, like it needs a longer conversation?
In that case, you should offer to talk to them offline. You can give them a phone number or email so you can address their concerns privately. This shows you respect their privacy while also being committed to fixing the issue.
That makes sense. So to wrap things up, we've learned that online reviews are really important for healthcare providers in this digital age. They can make or break a practice's reputation and have a big impact on getting new patients. We've also talked about ways to encourage patients to leave those reviews, manage them, and even use the negative ones to actually make things better.
It's all about taking charge of your story online. Those stars and comments, they come from real people and real experiences. When healthcare providers understand the power of online reviews, they can really make a difference. They can improve their reputation and build a practice that puts patients first.
So what's one thing our listeners can do, like today, to get better at managing online reviews? It doesn't matter if they're a provider or a patient.
That's a good question. If you're a provider, maybe try updating that Google My Business profile or sending out some review requests. If you're a patient, maybe take a minute to think about how powerful online reviews can be. Think about how they can help other people make smart choices about their healthcare. Even small steps can have a big impact.
That's so true. Your opinion matters whether you're the one giving care or receiving it. Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into the world of online reviews. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those reviews coming. Thanks for listening to the Repugen Podcast, your path to better healthcare.